This is our second and penultimate lesson on Introduction to Management. Quickly going over what we looked at the last day, we looked at the skills and the activities, and basically just we looked at what they are. So leading, motivating, and communicating being the skills that a manager would need, and then obviously the manager would need to go out and have these three activities: planning, organizing, and controlling in place. Leading is obviously having a vision and taking your employees, your customers towards that vision. Motivating is trying to entice them along the way. Usually it's financial rewards for your employees. And communicating is obviously, look, as a manager, you need to be able to express your ideas across to your employees or communicate with the market. These activities that the manager is involved in is much more in terms of like hands-on work. So the plans they need to put in place, I mean, if you're not going to plan for something and you're just going to react to everything around, your business is likely to suffer. Organizing being quite similar to planning in that, especially from, I suppose, an organizational standpoint for the business, is that if you have 100 or 200 or 1,000 employees, there needs to be some structure in place in terms of, okay, they work in this department, they deal with this manager. So that's what your organization structure is. In school, the organization structure is there's a principal at the top, there's also a vice principal, there's other people who are involved in middle management in the school. There would be teachers of, I suppose, seniority or with the most experience, and then you'll have your other teachers and staff members below them, and then obviously below that would be your students, so that if a student had an issue they could go to a teacher. If it was a major issue, the teacher might have to go to a middle management or deputy or principal with that issue. So it's an organization structure, and obviously it creates cohesion amongst the school, just like it would any other business. Controlling, usually we look at this from stock, financial, or quality control. And just again, it's similar to planning an organization. From a financial standpoint, it's quite obvious in that if you're not, controlling the money that you're spending and you're not tracking that, I suppose, and implementing plans on that, then business isn't going to be around very long. Stock control would generally be in terms of, okay, if we're bringing in this much stock and we're buying this much stock, how much of it are we selling? And if we're not selling enough, then let's stop buying stock. If we're buying for a restaurant and we're buying 6 packets of strawberries every single morning, but we're hardly ever using them for our customers, why are we buying 6 packets of strawberries every morning? We don't need 6 fresh packets. We might only need 2. So that's our stock control. And quality control, obviously, as well as making sure what we offer is of quality. That's a quick recap. A few more things I want to go through here. So management is often, associated with an individual at the top of a company, wearing your suit and dishing out orders. But management skills and activities can also be seen in daily life, and this is a common enough question for the Leaving Cert, asking you to use these 6 areas, I suppose, the skills and activities, and apply them to daily life. So obviously maybe around your house, in school, or something like that. And that, how would you, as a quote-unquote manager, around your house, let's say, how would you lead by example? How would you motivate and communicate? How would you plan, organize, and control? So we'll look at this from home, school, and local community, and I think government as well. It's just kind of to get us thinking. It's not really, I suppose, quote-unquote theory, but we're applying our theory to different scenarios. So I'm not going to go into read everything in too much detail, but basically, how can we manage a healthier lifestyle at home? And these are the 6 things. Again, let's go with the 3 skills first. So leading, motivating, and communicating. Well, if an adult by home is leading by example in terms of being physically active, they're motivating their kids to get involved, and they're trying to get involved in their kids. Again, if you can imagine, many years to come, if you have kids and you want them involved in physical activity, you have to generally lead by example. You have to motivate the kids, show up to their games and talk to them about their sport or whatever that you want them to be encouraged to get involved in, and communicate with them as to why exercising is important. Those would be the skills, and that's just just a general example as to an adult at home trying to get their kids into exercising. Planning, organizing, controlling would be the activity. So you'd plan family outings, maybe where you're going to the beach from a young age, the kids, and getting used to kicking a ball around on the beach, running around, maybe practicing swimming a bit, things like that, where obviously there's a plan put in place as to physical activities being organized, meals being organized in terms of the food that's around your house, that you're not buying takeaways, and that you're organizing for cooking meals as much as you can, and controlling the family budget to ensure that there's money available for spending on kids' activities. It's, this isn't notes as such, but those 6 are very, very important, and it's important that you understand that it's not just about somebody who runs a business. These 6 skills and activities are often asked in everyday examples. So again, this one is a principle. So leading, motivating, communicating. They lead by example for the environment for students. They're motivating them, getting involved as much as possible in communicating ideas for the school, that they plan and organize in terms of the school year, in terms of subjects, and obviously they're controlling the school budget. These things are they're quite easy to understand. But in an exam, if you're asked about how a principal can implement management skills and activities around the school, this is a window into you to understand about how you can apply these questions to different scenarios. So leading, motivating, communicating with the students, and then planning, organizing, controlling with the school. Local community, there's just 2 more like this. So local community, so again, this is managing a food festival. If you were to be involved in a community project to open up a food festival in Castleblaney, so leadership to run the festival, motivate people to get involved, to volunteer, to show up on the day, to volunteer for stewarding, to volunteer for making some food or something like that. Communicating with people in terms of when the event is on and what's involved, planning it, organizing everything for on the day, and controlling the project by having obviously the money. Controlling generally comes down to a financial standpoint. If you have a certain budget and you're just spending the money as you please, then you'll quickly fall apart in terms of running out of money. Very last one, business, is this is the one that comes to mind for most people. Obviously you think manager, you think business manager. So let's say, again, showing leadership. In this case, they're saying to introduce new machinery into the factory to improve production quality. It could be showing leadership in terms of, okay, look, we're trying to be an environmentally conscious company. Ben & Jerry's are very, very proactive in being extremely environmentally conscious, and very, very proactive in paying people correctly, and educating people about human rights. And they're 2 entrepreneurs, Ben and Jerry, from I think Vermont in the US. So they're very good from their standpoint at leading by example, in terms of being environmentally proactive. And again, if we were to think of the Ben & Jerry's example, just because I think it might be better than the one that's given here, because they're promoting, paying workers as much as possible, and from fair trade standpoint and things like that. They're motivating people in order to, okay, this is a good and worthy cause, let's get behind it. Communicating their ideas, in terms of what they're about, why they do what they do, how their ice cream is made, and so on. Plans in place. So generally in this case, we're reading about employee trainings required. That's regardless of what business you're in. Organizing your employees, again, regardless of what business you're in. If you have your owners, you have your board of directors, you have your middle management, you have your staff. If you don't have that organization in place, it is chaos. And controlling, generally you're controlling your finances, but your quality of your product, and your stock, how much you're producing and how quickly it sells, so that you're not obviously producing something 4 years ago and trying to sell it now and the ice cream's gone off. So those are 4 different examples, but the important thing is that we're just looking at applying these 6 to real life examples, and I'm going to be getting you to go through one for homework. Just one more here. This is for marking schemes for the Leaving Cert or Junior Cert. It's from the State Exams Commission, that's the SEC. So Quickly, they're leading by example. Generally, they're involved in making the papers themselves and helping the teachers in order to understand what's going on. They're motivating teachers. These are basically the people who set the state exams. They set the leaving cert and the marking scheme. They're motivating teachers to get involved by basically giving the teachers insight into what the marking scheme is like, so the teachers generally communicate this to the students. They're very good for communicating what are the deadlines, what needs to be done for teaching a certain subject. They're planning in terms of when the leaving cert is taking place, and it's usually the 4th, 5th, 6th of June where it starts. A little later this year, but that's usually the time when it starts. And the organising teachers to correct the exam papers, they generally try to organise that earlier in the year as well. And controlling in terms of supervisors, obviously those people that are walking up and down your exam halls during your junior cert or leaving cert, or quality control, especially in the marking process, where during the summer us teachers that get involved in marking are going to conferences, and we have managers over us as well who are assessing our work. That's just another example. I'll be giving you an example to do for homework as well. These are again based on these 6 areas, just applying them to a real life example. Do you know what? I'll leave it at that. I have only a couple more slides, but I'm going to get to that the next day. So again, because we focused on these 6 the last day, now I'm just looking at applying them, and I'll put up the homework on Google Classroom. Okay, I won't get you to take all these down into your notes copy just because I feel like it's over the top, but I will get you to take down this slide number 6, 7, 8, and 9. So slide 6, 7, 8, and 9. Just those 4 slides to take down into your notes copy. I'll put the homework up on Google Classroom as well.